Rejected by a blind date, a millionaire discovered life-changing love through a touching waitress. Jake Mason was every bit the picture of success: a sleek suit, a designer watch, and a bank account that could make dreams come true. New York City pulsed around him, a world where ambition reigned and wealth determined worth. He stepped into the downtown restaurant, the plush carpets muffling the sounds of clinking glasses and soft laughter. Tonight, however, his heart raced not from excitement but anxiety. Yet another blind date, courtesy of his mother, who had promised this potential partner, was a perfect match for their social circle. As he scanned the glittering crowd, a wave of nagging pressure washed over him. Would this one appreciate his success or merely see it as a means to elevate her status? The minutes dragged, each second amplifying the dread that filled him. How could he possibly stay true to himself while juggling his family's impossible expectations? When a woman with perfect makeup arrived, the glitter in her eyes quickly dulled once they settled into their conversation. "So, what do you do?" she asked, almost too casually. "I run a tech startup," he replied, adjusting his collar, longing for genuine interest. But her unimpressed expression spoke volumes. After a few insipid exchanges, she laughed, a harsh burst of sound that echoed around them. "And what's your net worth?" she asked, her eyes sparkling mischievously. It stung. Mortified, Jake felt the walls closing in. The laughter of diners fluttered around him, mocking his status. Clenching his fists, he fled to the bar, the whiskey sour feeling like an anchor amidst the chaos of social expectation. "Rough night?" A kind voice broke through his fog. Jake turned, drawn in by the optimism shining from the waitress. Anna wore a simple uniform, her dark hair pulled back, a bright smile lighting up her face. "It's just hell, you wouldn't understand," he sighed, feeling strangely vulnerable. "Try me," she responded, pouring a hefty measure of understanding into her words. They dove into conversation, exchanging tales of resilience, hers about her ailing mother back home, his about the suffocating weight of his family's expectations. Shockingly refreshing, their connection deepened. Anna laughed like it was the most genuine antidote in the world, every chuckle a reminder of joys beyond riches. As the night wore on, an undeniable tension grew. Did he even belong in her world? The luxurious atmosphere began to feel like a prison to Jake as he realized Anna's discomfort grew with each extravagant display of wealth. Suddenly, an idea hit him hard: why not impress her with a lavish night out? But as they entered the upscale lounge, Jake watched Anna's smile dim while she fidgeted in her dress. The chit-chat felt forced against the backdrop of excessive elegance. "I thought you'd like this," he said, searching her eyes for validation. "I'm just not sure I fit into all this." A twist of anxiety clawed at his insides. He wanted to shield her from the materialist world he was often trapped in, but felt lost in a web of desire, ambition, and inherited ideals. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The moment hung in the air, electrifying and heavy, his heart hammering against his ribcage. Understanding dawned upon him: love couldn't be dictated by wealth or society's judgments. His family's definition of success loomed larger than life, but standing there, he realized what he truly wanted. Jake took a breath, his resolve hardening. Would he choose status or the longing for something real? Would he dare to redefine the American dream for himself and for Anna, despite the potential fallout from those who mattered most? Jake's heart raced as he watched Anna shift uncomfortably in her chair. There was a deep yearning in him, a pull toward a world that felt real, vibrant, and filled with genuine connections. But the weight of luxury pressed down on him, smothering. He glanced at the glimmering bar a few steps away, the ambient lights casting soft shadows that danced across the room. This was not the sanctuary he had imagined. "Listen," he finally said, lowering his voice. "I want to get away from all this. Would you go for a walk with me?" Anna hesitated, her eyes searching his. "Are you serious?" "Absolutely," he replied. The thrill of spontaneity surged in him, pushing through the suffocating expectations of the night. With a soft smile breaking through her initial wariness, Anna nodded. They stood up together, leaving the gilded lounge behind. Fresh air washed over them like a tidal wave of relief as they stepped onto the buzzing streets of New York City. The vibrant sounds of honking cabs and laughter mixed with the fragrant aroma of street food, making him feel alive for the first time in ages. "Where to?" she asked, glancing toward him under the city lights. Jake shrugged, a grin creeping onto his face. "Anywhere but here. Let us get lost." They wandered the streets, arms brushing against each other, the electric connection only growing stronger. Conversation flowed effortlessly. They shared stories of their childhoods, dreams long forgotten, and aspirations that felt just out of reach. Each laugh seemed to peel away years of pretense, revealing something raw and real. "Do you ever feel like you're just playing a role?" Jake asked, dropping his voice. He looked into her eyes, searching for a trace of understanding, longing for validation. "Every day," she replied without missing a beat. "Serving food and smiling at strangers? It's easy to forget who you really are sometimes." They paused under a street lamp, the glow wrapping them in warmth. Jake took a breath, his heart pounding. "I appreciate you, you know that, right? I'm so tired of pretending to be someone I'm not." Her gaze softened, an unguarded moment unfolding between them. "You don't have to pretend with me," Anna whispered, sincerity radiating from her. He stepped closer, feeling magnetic energy between them. "Can we just be real? You and me?" "I'd like that," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. A moment passed where time felt suspended, all the noise of the city faded around them. Then, a ping from his phone broke the bubble, jolting Jake back to reality. It was a message from his mother, a flurry of concern over his whereabouts, urging him to come back to the restaurant. He cursed under his breath, frustration building. "Everything okay?" Anna asked, noticing the change in his demeanor. Jake gnawed on his lower lip, torn between a world that expected him to return and the exhilarating possibility that lay before him. "I'm not sure anymore. I feel like I'm on a tightrope, and it's my family pulling the strings. Sometimes to find clarity, you have to risk showing the real you," she said softly, taking his hand. Warmth surged through him at her touch. It felt right, it felt alive. "What if I told them I don't want their world anymore?" Anna's eyes widened, a spark of hope igniting in them. "Then maybe you'd finally be free." His thoughts swirled. Was he ready to cut the ties that had held him in place for so long? As they stood there, hand in hand, the stakes felt monumental. But then, as if on cue, his phone buzzed again, a call this time. The name illuminated the screen, an inevitable reminder of the life he might be leaving behind. Jake inhaled sharply, uncertainty creeping back in. "Do I answer?" he asked, glancing at Anna, searching for her reassurance. "Only if you're ready to face what comes next," she replied, her grip tightening around him. A choice loomed over them, one that could change everything. Did he dare to embrace it? Jake stared at the glowing screen, heart pounding in his chest. Would he take this leap? Before he could decide, he pressed answer. And in that moment, everything would change. "Jake?" His mother's voice crackled through the phone, filled with worry. The sound pulled him back to a reality he was desperate to escape. He flinched, feeling the weight of expectations crashing down again, just as that moment of potential began to swirl around him. "Yeah, Mom, I'm fine," he stammered. Still holding Anna's hand, he felt a surge of defiance. "Where are you?" She pressed. You're supposed to be at the restaurant. Your father and I were worried. He glanced at Anna, who was watching him intently, her expression supportive yet questioning. He felt a rush of adrenaline, a fire igniting within him. Actually, I'm not coming back tonight. Silence stretched between them. He could almost hear the gears turning in his mother's mind. What do you mean? This isn't a joke, Jake. This is serious. Maybe it is serious, Mom. Maybe you and Dad should try to understand that I need to figure things out for myself. He held his breath, half expecting an explosion of anger. Instead, there was just a pause. Is this about that girl? She asked, her tone shifting slightly, almost cautious. Yes, he replied, looking deeply into Anna's eyes, drawing strength from her. It is. Her name's Anna. She makes me feel like there's more to life than just running a restaurant chain. I want to live, to be real. Jake, she said, the disappointment slipping through her voice. You know it's not that simple. Think about your future. You have responsibilities. Jake clenched his fist, the emotion bubbling to the surface. And what about my happiness, Mom? What about living a life that feels real? Her voice softened, but he could hear the concern. I just want what's best for you. Your father and I put so much into our family's legacy. You're meant to take over one day. You mean I'm meant to take over a life that isn't mine? He felt the air thicken. This conversation could shatter everything, obliterating the fragile connection he had just begun to forge with Anna. Anna stepped closer and squeezed his hand, grounding him. He looked at her, the life he wanted swirling in his chest. I have to go, Jake said, sensing the gravity of his choice. He hung up, adrenaline racing through him. Wow. That just happened, he said, breathless, his heart still pounding. Are you okay? Anna asked, concern glimmering in her eyes. No, he replied, shaking his head as if trying to shake off the lingering tension. But I feel alive. I want to explore this. With you. A smile broke on her face, igniting hope within him. We can go anywhere, then, right? If you're serious about stepping away from all that. Yes. He exclaimed, but how about we start by grabbing some food from one of these vendors? I want to do something totally normal. Something real. Her laughter felt like music to his ears, and they headed toward a nearby food truck, the aroma of grilled meat and spices swirling in the air. They stood in line, their shoulders brushing together, sharing easy smiles and laughter. It felt simple, uncomplicated, and exhilarating. So what's next? She asked, nudging him playfully as they waited for their food. I don't know. But for once in my life, I really want to find out, he said, his pulse still racing. But don't forget, you may have to face the consequences of breaking free, she warned gently, her expression serious. I'm ready to face them not just for me, but for us, he replied, determination igniting within him. Just then, the food truck worker handed over their meal, and they walked toward a small park nearby, feeling the crisp night air buzzing with the sounds of the city. Halfway across the street, Jake's phone buzzed again. He hesitated, pulling it out, a rush of dread filling him. It was a text from his father, demanding a confrontation. Panic surged within him, but then he looked at Anna. Her eyes were steady, unwavering. Whatever it is, she said softly, you don't have to handle it alone. Could he really choose this path with her? Jake inhaled deeply. Let us see how deep this rabbit hole goes, he murmured and hit the button, preparing for whatever came next. In that moment, he felt more alive than ever, standing on the edge of something significant. The taste of freedom lingered in the air, infused with possibility. But as he confronted the reality on the other end of the text, he couldn't shake off the feeling that everything was about to change. What would his father demand? Would it shatter the connection he was so desperately beginning to build with Anna? Jake's heart raced as he read the words on his screen, "Meet me at the office now." The message was crisp, cold, and radiated authority. His father had a way of controlling every situation, and this one felt no different. The weight of Jake's decision pressed on him anew, clashing violently with the thrill of newfound hope. "Hey, what does it say?" Anna asked, her eyes darting from the street to his face, searching for answers. "It's my dad," Jake replied quietly. "He wants to meet." "What are you going to do?" He bit his lip, glancing down, then back at her. "I don't really know. I thought I would just let things settle for a moment." But he wait. "Do you want me to come with you?" she offered, her voice light yet carrying the weight of sincerity. Jake's breath hitched in his throat. The thought of dragging her into the storm was terrifying. "I don't know. It might get ugly. I don't want you caught in that." Anna brushed her fingers over his, grounding him again. "You're not alone anymore, remember? I'm here for you. Whatever happens, we'll face it together." With a nod, he felt a flicker of courage ignite within him. "Okay. Let us go." The park faded behind them as they crossed the street toward his father's office, the gritty city sounds drowning out their laughter and light-heartedness. What was once an adventure now felt like a march to the gallows. His father's building loomed ahead, a monolith of glass and stone reflecting the darkening sky. Its cold facade matched the tightening knot in Jake's stomach. They stepped through the revolving door, the chill of the air conditioning biting at their necks. Inside, the austere lobby was quiet, the silence amplifying their footsteps on the polished tile. Jake walked with purpose, repeating Anna's reassuring words in his mind. When they reached the elevator, he pressed the button, feeling like he was lowering himself into an abyss. As they ascended, the atmosphere thickened. "What do you think will happen?" Anna asked, her voice a soft whisper between them. "I don't know. Part of me thinks my dad will just explode," Jake admitted. "But there's also a part of me that hopes he'll listen. Maybe we can reach some kind of understanding." The elevator dinged, the doors sliding open to reveal his father's floor. Jake stepped out first, Anna right beside him. They walked down the corridor, each step heavier than the last. The office door was ajar, and Jake felt a tug in his chest. He pushed it open slowly, revealing the luxurious office dominated by dark leather and sleek furniture. His father stood at the window, illuminated by the fading light of the evening, his back turned. "What took you so long?" his father said, without turning, voice low and sharp as a knife. "Dad," Jake started, but the words caught in his throat as the tension between them crackled in the air. "Is she the reason?" His father turned, eyes narrowed, a storm brewing behind his composed exterior. "Is what the reason?" Jake shot back, surprising even himself with the bite in his voice. "Why you've decided to throw everything away." "He hasn't thrown anything away," Anna interjected, stepping forward, startling both men. Jake glanced at her, wonder mixing with apprehension. "Anna, wait," but she pressed on. "You can't expect him to just follow your plan for him forever. He deserves to be happy." They both turned to his father, who looked momentarily shocked by her audacity. "And who asked you to step in?" "Someone who cares about him. Someone willing to stand up for him because he can't do it alone," she said defiantly. Jake felt a rush of warmth towards her. Her bravery was inspiring. But would it be enough to soften the heart of a man who had built walls so high? "Jake," his father's voice broke through, cold and calculating as ever, "you're playing a dangerous game. And I won't tolerate it." Jake's heart sank. He had crossed a line, set a precedent that could shatter everything he'd fought for. It was the moment he had both dreaded and longed for. As worry crept in, Anna's presence ignited a fire within him. "Maybe it's time to stop playing," he said, stepping forward, ready to confront the entirety of his family legacy, with the girl who had been a catalyst for his awakening at his side. But in that charged moment, would he find the strength to truly stand up for himself, or would his father's looming presence pull him back into the shadows? The response hung between them like a fragile thread, teetering on the brink of revelation. Could he really break away from the weight of expectations, or was he destined to fall back into the pattern he fought so hard to escape? Jake's pulse pounded in his ears, drowning out everything except the towering figure of his father before him. The room felt too small, the air too thick, as the weight of unspoken words wrapped tightly around them. Jake could feel every muscle in his body tense, the fight-or-flight instinct screaming at him to either take a stand or run away. His father's eyes, sharp and assessing, locked onto his. "You've made your choice, Jake. But I won't let you ruin everything we've built." There was an icy finality in his tone, like the closing of a vault. Anna stepped closer to Jake, her determination unwavering. "He's not ruining anything. He's just trying to live his own life," she said fiercely, her brown eyes fixed on Jake's father. "Life?" His father let out a humorless laugh, the sound echoing against the polished surfaces. "You think you can just waltz into this world and do as you please? You have responsibilities, Jake. You have a future." The old expectations crashed against Jake's chest. He had spent years feeling like a puppet, tugged by invisible strings. But now, with Anna at his side, he could see those strings for what they were. "I'm tired of living for your definition of success," Jake blurted, his voice shaking with emotion. "I want to forge my own path." His father's expression hardened, a stone facade. "And what will that look like? Working in a coffee shop? Chasing some fleeting dream?" Jake's heart raced, and he felt the anger rise within him, pressure building like steam ready to burst. "It's not fleeting. It's real. It matters." Anna squeezed his hand, grounding him. "What matters is that he's happy. And if you can't understand that, then maybe it's you who needs to rethink what you want." The room fell silent for a heartbeat, tension spiraling as the words settled. Jake's father shifted his gaze between the two of them, the struggle within him palpable. Eventually, he softened just a fraction, but it felt like the earth shifting beneath them. "How can you say such things, Anna?" he asked, frustration wrinkling his brow. "You don't know him like I do." "And you don't know him at all," she shot back, her courage palpable like a flame. Jake's heart swelled. He had always admired her strength, but witnessing her stand up for him, in this most fragile moment, ignited something fierce within him, a blend of hope and anger. His father took a breath, straightening his shoulders. "You seem to have a lot of fight in you," he said, his tone warned but not completely dismissive. "But do you think that makes you invincible? I have a long reach, Jake. I will not allow you to throw away everything for a whim. Maybe it's time you learn that I'm not a child anymore." "You can't control how I feel or who I love," Jake declared, his voice rising. "I'm going to choose my own life, my own love." For the first time, Jake saw a flicker of uncertainty in his father's eyes. Was it fear? Regret? "Be careful what you wish for," his father replied, but it lacked the usual bite. Maybe he saw the truth in Jake's words, maybe he simply didn't know how to react to a son who was standing firm. Suddenly, the phone on his father's desk vibrated sharply, cutting through the tension. "What?" his father barked as he glanced at the screen. The sternness returned. "I'm busy." He ended the call abruptly, but not before Jake caught a hint of anxiety lurking in his father's demeanor. "Jake, you're crossing a line." "Maybe that's what I need to do," Jake said, his voice steady. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, Jake felt a spark of possibility. This could be the moment that shifted everything, not just for him, but for the entire family dynamic. But as he met Anna's gaze, he wondered. Were they ready for the fallout that could follow? Would standing up create an unbridgeable gap, or would it finally allow them to build a connection worth fighting for? In the silence that followed, the question hung heavy in the air, like a delicate string ready to snap at any moment. The silence stretched, thickening like fog, and Jake could feel the weight of his father's stare sending ripples of doubt through him. Anna remained close, her presence a comforting fire. Jake wanted to hold on to that warmth, but uncertainty began to gnaw at him. What if he had crossed an unseen line? His father's phone buzzed again, breaking their focus. This time, he glanced at it, then back at Jake, his jaw set. "We'll continue this later." The command was cold, but underneath it lay a flicker of something softer, something Jake couldn't quite read. "Will we?" Jake shot back, unwilling to back down. "You think you can just push me aside and dismiss what I want?" His father's eyes hardened once more, but there it was again, a flicker, as if the stone might crack. "You're being naive," he said, a hint of exhaustion creeping into his voice. "You don't understand the stakes." "Then teach me." Jake challenged, anger and desperation blending. "Don't just expect me to follow the path you laid out. I want to know what this pressure is that you're so afraid I'll slip from." "Enough." His father's voice boomed, startling a few loose papers off the desk. But the fire within Jake didn't flicker. He was done waiting for permission to be who he was meant to be. "Jake," Anna murmured, a warning in her tone, but he shook his head. He needed to do this. "Why can't you just accept that I want to be happy?" He pressed, his heart pounding. "Isn't that what you've always wanted for me?" His father flinched, as if hit by an invisible blow. "Happiness comes from hard work and discipline. Not whims." For a moment, Jake's mind raced, filled with memories of childhood dreams brushed aside, of afternoons spent drifting in thought, sketching out the life he wanted while his father imposed another blueprint. Was it too much to ask for understanding? "Maybe I need a different kind of hard work," Jake said, quieter now but carrying the conviction of a mountain. "I want to create something real. Not just what looks good on paper. There's more to it than you know. It's not just about you, Jake. You have a name to uphold, a legacy." His father's voice cracked, revealing the raw edges of his own fear. "Then help me create my own legacy," Jake urged, feeling the passion surge like a wave. "One that honors what I love, not just what you expect." Several seconds passed, silence wrapping around them with a mix of uncertainty and hope. Anna squeezed his hand tighter, grounding him as they awaited his father's response. Yet, just as something significant began to form in the air, the phone buzzed again, and this time, Jake's father answered with gritted teeth. "Yes. I understand. No, I'm aware of the implications." He turned slightly away from Jake, his expression shadowed, and Jake watched as something heavy settled over him again, a storm gathering just beyond the horizon. What was this anxiety? What was so urgent that it momentarily banished the confrontation? When his father hung up, he looked at Jake but avoided acknowledging Anna. "I have to go. This is not over." The words hung in the air, a challenge rendered in steel. "Fine," Jake said, his heart racing. "But know this, I'm not stepping back. Not anymore." As his father strode out, Jake felt the room sink back into silence, the echoes of unresolved tension vibrating off the walls. "What now?" Anna asked, glancing at Jake, concern lacing her voice. "I don't know," he admitted, the fight deflating a little. "But I can't let this go. Not after today." He took a deep breath, steadied by her unwavering presence. Maybe it was a step into the unknown, but he wouldn't shy away now. "Jake," she whispered, her gaze holding his. "Whatever this leads to, I'm with you. Just know that." His heart fluttered. With her by his side, he felt braver. They had started this journey together, and there was no turning back. But as he faced the darkened door through which his father had vanished, he couldn't shake the feeling that it was far more than just their relationship at stake. Had he sparked a battle that would affect everything he cherished? All he knew was that the real fight might still be ahead of them, one that could change everything he thought he knew. What would it take for his father to accept him fully? And would Jake's emerging dreams survive the impending storm? Jake stood in the aftermath of disagreement, an unsettling mix of fear and determination rallying inside him. The silence from the darkened doorway was loud, filled with unspoken thoughts and half-finished sentences. Anna shifted beside him, sensing a storm brewing not just outside their little corner of the world, but within Jake himself. "I thought it would be different," he admitted, running a hand through his hair, frustration mingling with a hint of vulnerability. "I always pictured a moment where we deconnect, where he'd see me for who I really am." Anna tilted her head, her expression softening. "It's going to take time. He's been like this for a long time. You're challenging everything he built. It's scary for him too. Scary or not, I need to fight for this. I can't keep ignoring my own dreams." His voice was firm, yet fatigue lingered beneath it. What if it means losing him in the process? A flicker of uncertainty crossed Anna's face. But what if it means gaining him? Sometimes you have to lose the old version of someone to find a new truth. She stepped closer, their shoulders nearly brushing. The warmth of her presence surrounded him, drawing him back from the edge of anxiety. "You're not in this alone," she reminded him gently. "You have people who believe in you." Jake nodded, taking a slow breath while he tried to grasp her words. But the shadows his father cast were long, marking everything in their home with a weight he hadn't fully realized until now. The call, the urgency, it all felt like a confusing puzzle with missing pieces. "I guess I should try to understand more about what he's facing," Jake said, his voice quiet. The thought pulled at him. His father's world was a fortress of expectations that had kept him imprisoned. Maybe talking about it is the only way forward. "Talking sounds great, but be prepared," Anna said, her voice dipping slightly. "It could be risky. He might not take it well and it could escalate again." Jake squeezed her hand, grateful but unsure. "No risk, no reward, right?" He forced a smile, trying to light a spark of hope, and she chuckled softly, the tension easing a fraction. "Are you ready to face that storm?" "Because it hit hard," she said, a blend of concern and excitement in her tone. "Better to face it with someone I care about." He leaned in, brushing her arm with his shoulder, feeling the grounding connection they shared. They were both stepping onto an uncertain path. As they gathered their thoughts, the room seemed to grow lighter but still carried an undercurrent of impending confrontation that Jake couldn't ignore. Suddenly, the front door creaked open, and Jake's heart raced. It was his father returning, a storm cloud shadowing him. The moment stretched, tension winding tighter as he entered the room. Jake straightened, every nerve in his body firing up. There was so much he could lose but so much he could gain. Would he confront the man he had idolized for years or let the cycle repeat? "Jake," his father began, his voice strained but lacking the previous edge. There was something raw in his tone, a hint that this conversation might tread uncharted waters. "What now?" Jake asked, his breath catching in his throat. "I didn't realize how badly you felt," the silence returned, heavy with unacknowledged emotions, as layers of their shared history hung thickly in the air. Jake hadn't expected vulnerability. Could this be a breakthrough? What secrets lay waiting behind those words? Fear and hope swirled within him, urging him to connect, to dive deeper. "I didn't know how to say it," Jake responded, emboldened. "But we can't keep avoiding this." As they stood on the precipice of their conversation, all Jake could think was, could they heal, or were they too fractured to find a way back? Would he finally have a chance to voice his dreams, or would this marked territory usher in another war, one that could tear them apart forever? Jake felt his heart racing, caught between conflicting forces. The air in the room was thick with unspoken words, a tension so palpable one could almost reach out and touch it. He watched his father's face for moments that might hint at understanding or regret, but all he read was uncertainty. His father's brows furrowed, the weight of a lifetime draped heavily across his shoulders. "It's not easy for me, either," he finally admitted, his voice trembling slightly. "You think I wanted things to turn out this way? That I wanted to be caught in my own expectations? Then let us talk about it," Jake urged, pushing through the knot in his throat. "Let us really talk." They stood like that for what felt like an eternity. Words hung in the balance, suffocated by a past that had tethered them both. Jake assessed the man before him, the stoic seam of hope intertwined with the fraying threads of disappointment. His father hadn't just been a shadow in his life, he had been an unmoving pillar, a standard of achievement Jake felt compelled to meet. "I had my own dreams once," his father said, the facade beginning to crack. "But I buried them. I thought I was doing the right thing, building a life for you and us." Jake's breath caught again. But at what cost? The question lingered like a fragile whisper. "You want me to live that way too?" "I can't do it, Dad. I need to find my own path." He could see the conflict swirl within his father's eyes, an unsettling mix of fear and a longing for connection. "But what if it all falls apart?" Jake stepped closer, the need to bridge the distance tightening in his chest. "Then we rebuild it. Together. Isn't that what families do?" His father's brow furrowed even deeper. "You think it's that simple? Why not? You taught me that life isn't about being perfect. It's about facing the challenges, even if we fall flat sometimes." For a moment, silence reigned once again. Jake felt a shift, the air quivering with latent possibilities. His father looked away, scanning the room as if searching for an answer, a glimpse of the past he had tucked away for so long. "I never meant to shut you out," he eventually said, his voice lowering as if the admission itself was too heavy to carry. Jake's heart raced with something resembling hope. "Then let us start fresh. Tell me about your dreams. Maybe we can find a way to share them." Just as he finished speaking, Anna took a step forward, her eyes wide with encouragement. "It's never too late to find a new direction," she added softly, her gaze steady on Jake's father. "You don't have to bear this burden alone." His father stood frozen, caught in the gravity of the moment. Could he open up? Would he allow the vulnerability to break through decades of stoicism? "I envy you," he murmured, almost to himself. "You have the freedom to dream." The confession hung there, a dangling thread waiting for someone to pull on it. Jake echoed what he felt, a mixture of empathy and urgency. "Then stop envying what I have and embrace the chance to change. It's not too late for either of us." The air pulsated with possibility, but just as Jake thought they were on the verge of breakthroughs, the tension returned. The vulnerability, however soft, was cloaked in uncertainty. What if his father rejected this chance? "We can make it work," Jake urged, his heart pounding. But would that statement be enough to push them both into a new understanding, or was he standing on the edge of yet another cliff about to fall? As no words came, the silence grew heavy once more, heavy with doubt and anticipation. Would they take that leap together, or would fear dictate the course of their lives one more time? Jake held his breath, the silence pressing down like a thick fog. His father's eyes darted away, and Jake's heart sank. Would this moment slip through their fingers, just like so many others before? The weight of expectation hung heavy, distracting him from Anna's encouraging presence, still standing next to him, focusing intently on the man with the troubled heart. "Dad, please." Jake's voice was a fragile thread. "If you're scared to share, let me in. Just this once." His father shifted uneasily, his fingers gripping the edge of the table like it was a life raft. "What if I'm not the man you think I am? Maybe you're not. But every person has dreams buried deep. What were yours?" Jake pressed, leaning in, desperate for a genuine connection. With a deep breath, his father turned his gaze back to Jake. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to create paintings that made people feel. The words poured out, hesitant but real. I let that dream go because painting didn't pay the bills. The confession stunned Jake. The man who had been so determined never to show weakness now admitted to chasing an escaped dream. Why didn't you tell me? Jake asked, feeling a swell of understanding. You never let me know it was okay to pursue what I love. I thought it would be easier for you if I showed you what success looked like, his father replied, voice cracking. Success? Jake scoffed, a mix of pain and truth colliding in his heart. You never showed me how to chase happiness. You just set standards. Anger and sadness tangled within him. How could you expect me to fly with wings that were never mine? We're not so different, his father said quietly. You want your own path, and I threw mine away. The difference is, I'm willing to find it, Jake replied firmly. I want to bury my dreams. I don't want to be the successful ghost you've become. The air in the room shifted again, filled with an unspoken understanding. His father's features softened for a brief moment, vulnerability leaking in. I'm sorry, Jake. As those words hung between them, Anna stepped closer, providing an anchor. You can change your story anytime, she said, her voice a gentle reminder. It's not too late to pick up a brush or take a leap. You have the chance to start fresh, both of you. Jake's father stared at her, taken aback by her sincerity. And what if my passion can't support the family? He asked, a faint tremor in his voice. But can you support your family by living a lie? Jake shot back. Chasing a dream, even a small one, is what makes us whole. It's more important for us to see you as you are. A flicker of something akin to hope danced in his father's eyes, but just as quickly, the fear blinded it. I have responsibilities and you have a heart, Jake interrupted. Don't you want us to know you? The real you? The silence stretched, filled with the palpable pulse of vulnerability. Finally, his father exhaled slowly. What do you suggest? Jake's heart raced at the flicker of willingness. What if we both paint our dreams in the same room? I'll help you if you help me. Maybe we can build something together this time. The words propelled them into unknown territory. Was this a conversation, or the beginning of a shared journey towards reclaimed joy? Could they step together into the messiness of their emotions and discover each other anew? The air hung heavy, tinged with anticipation, and Jake's heart surged with a mix of fear and excitement. What if this was the point of no return? As his father chewed on the proposal, Jake could almost sense the tremors of courage and uncertainty amidst the flickering shadows. This was their chance. Would they take it, or shatter into pieces once more? Jake's heart pounded like a drum as his father weighed his proposal. The tension in the room felt electric, vibrating between them, each pulse a reminder of years lost in silence and expectation. He held his breath, praying for a realization, a connection that had been missing for far too long. Then, his father nodded slowly, almost imperceptibly, as if a thin barrier was breaking. All right, Jake. Let us try it. But I don't know how it will work. The uncertainty in his voice held a thread of hope, a spark igniting somewhere deep within. Trying is all we need to do, Jake replied, relief flooding through him like sunlight breaking through clouds. He glanced at Anna, who beamed with encouragement, her eyes glistening with pride. This moment was not just the culmination of their fight, but a new beginning. His father's gaze hardened for a moment. But understand this, Jake, if we're going to do this, it goes both ways. No more hiding, no more expectations. I won tea, Jake promised, his voice steady. It'll be different this time. We'll figure it out together. Anna smiled, the warmth wrapping around him, and he found strength in her unwavering support. As they took a seat, Jake's father emptied a few of the tensions from his shoulders. I'll tell you about the lost paintings. We can start there. The conversation flowed, dragging out stories from the past that had long been buried under the weight of expectations and stern silence. Jake learned of his father's attempts at art classes, the thrill of his youthful dreams, and the gradual relinquishment of his own desires. "I thought I had to be strong," his dad admitted, glancing at Jake with an earnestness that momentarily pierced the armor he'd worn for so long. "It was about securing your future, making sure you had everything you could ever need." "Sometimes having everything doesn't mean having anything at all," Jake replied, feeling the truth of his words pulsing through him. "Real joy comes from following your heart." His father absorbed the lesson, his features softening as he finally listened to the very essence of Jake's struggles and ambitions. They spent hours poring over sketches, ideas, and fast-melting dreams. Victories and failures intermingled as they explored their passions, what it meant to be free to create in their own unique ways. It felt like they were reconstructing the pieces of a fragile relationship slowly, gently. "Can I paint again?" his father asked suddenly, vulnerability etched across his brow. "Is it too late?" "Never too late," Jake replied, smiling. "Let us find you the canvas and brushes." The weight of the previous confrontation faded, replaced by a shared anticipation buzzing in the air. Soon, the father and son took tentative steps toward each other, the invisible line between them slowly fading as they began to reclaim the joy within the opportunity to connect without pretense. As laughter bubbled and stories merged into joyful nights, Jake felt a shift, a bond strengthening. In Anna's presence, they began constructing a new bond, one filled with authenticity and shared dreams. Days turned into weeks, and the fruits of their labor began to show. Jake felt more alive than he ever had, realizing he was finally forging a true path not just for himself but for both his loved ones. His father took up painting again, sketching out ideas inspired by memories, dreams, and moments shared. Jake and Anna supported one another through every endeavor, both in the challenges of acceptance from family and the new life they were building, focused on love and aspirations instead of expectations. And as they wandered through life together, a deep appreciation blossomed in the spaces between their laughter and tears. Success no longer meant endless wealth or social status. They defined it through connection, creativity, and the bravery to be themselves. One evening as the sun dipped below the Manhattan skyline, Jake took Anna's hand and brushed a soft kiss on her cheek. "I don't know where we're headed next," but he paused, gazing into her eyes. "I think it'll be something beautiful." Anna smiled, her laughter sparkling like the city lights around them. "And I'll be right by your side." Jake felt a warm glow in his chest as they walked ahead together, hopeful under the open sky. For the first time, he dared to dream, not just of his own future but also of a life infused with love, bursting with untold stories, and painted with every shade of their newfound happiness. As they stepped forward into the vibrant world, Jake knew they were ready for whatever came next together. So here's the thing, friends, this is your moment to make a difference. Don't just sit back, subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss out on our next exclusive stories that ignite the heart. Leave a like now, your thumbs up helps fuel the algorithm and spreads this positivity far and wide. Comment below and share your thoughts about this emotional finale, tell us how it made you feel. And don't wait one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who could use a little inspiration in their lives. Real fans understand how important it is to support the channel, so take action now. Let us spread the love.